going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of Shark Nation number 67. Jason and I are here to break it down, what to say on a call for you today. We're going to go through that. Jason, my man, how's it going, buddy?
Doing awesome, man. I'm still, if everybody's tracking, I'm still partaking in my 75-day hard journey. Um, the last 3 days of it was super hard. I came down with something when I went to Philly. I don't know what I had, but it knocked me on my ass. And a big thank you. I sent her a message, but a guest on the show, Jess Boswell, she had a post with "Stop listening to your inner bitch voice," and it got my ass up and moving out of the house and got my workouts in. And it was easy to lay under the covers and and just say, okay, I'll just start all over. But I pushed through it, and I'm still going. I think I'm on like day 17 or 18 now. So
That's awesome, man. That's no joke. I mean, that's hard to keep working out when you're feeling, when you're sick. I mean, you made a commitment and you're not taking, well, and I've posted about this a lot. I think when you try to grow, life throws wrenches at you. And I've always said, forget those wrenches. And I see it so much as we coach real estate agents, right? We run teams and blah, blah, blah. Real estate is so much that you get into the business and you have to carve out your piece of the empire as an agent. Like you didn't, there's this agent here sells 50 houses, sells 25. Where's room for me? Well, you have to freaking carve it out. You have to earn it. And when you go try to do that, and I always say when you try to get more than the world had set out for you, if you're trying to up your income level, change your family's legacy, the world doesn't like change, like or your body doesn't like change, or I don't know, whatever. Spiritual, I don't know. Something doesn't like change. And it throws shit at you and I punch back.
oh,
Like
for sure. I
and
just did a post
you
on
just
this
do.
yesterday. Change is hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, and glorious in the end. Right. I think that's good for everybody to know. Like you're going to have those obstacles when you're first starting anything new, and it seems like I don't know, the powers to be or whatever you want to call it. Anytime you want to try something new, it seems like that's when shit hits the fan and things get harder and harder, and makes the obstacle a little bit harder to even achieve, and you just got to push through that.
100%. 100%. Well, congrats on doing that, man. I hear
I'm
you on
not
the little.
quitting. I'm either gonna die or I'm gonna fucking finish this thing. One of the two is going to happen, and hopefully just finish this thing in April.
When the odds are, I'm probably not going to die from that, so this should be good.
No, no. What are we gonna do with the show? You can't, dude. You
No.
need me here. I carry half the load here.
You have a fate. Yeah, your destiny will keep you alive.
For
No,
sure.
it's
We got.
funny. It was funny you said about the inner bitch voice though, because I was just listening to an episode of Rogan, I think when he had Mel Gibson on, which is an interesting episode. But he talked about how he gets in the cold plunge every morning and he says people think like I don't like, I just say I do it and they think like I'm just different. He's like, no, it sucks. Every morning it sucks. He's like, my little inner bitch voice is going, don't do it, don't do it. He's like, but I'm in control. I'm in control of this body and this brain. And I'm like, I could be
Mel
better.
does it or Rogan?
Rogan.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mel. That'd be interesting. Can see him as a big ice plunge polar
Well,
bear.
oh no, he does do the plunge, but I mean, Rogan does it literally every day, and it was set like way colder. I think he said it was like set to like 34 or something wicked, and Mel was like, "No, I'm in the 48 or so." I don't, I'm not sure if I'm right, but it was like that, and but it just, I mean, it made me think of places where I am listening to my inner bitch.
Oh yeah, we all do. And like you said, is it really something that you can't overcome, or are you just trying to give yourself an excuse to get out of what you know you need to be doing? You know, some of it is legitimate, but other times it's like just push through because you're being a little bitch.
Absolutely, and to that point, um.
Yeah,
Uh, we'll
really.
go we'll go
Yeah.
bold for the agents listening to this podcast that are listening to their you know what. Um, They tell you in real estate or it's in a sales position, call the leads, right? Pick up the phone and start dialing. Well, we wanted, Jason had a great idea today to break down what do you say? How do you say it? What does that look like? Not just do it. What do you do? How do you do it effectively and not be um, as I like to say, cheesy salesperson? I just had a post of a lead who had texted me back and said, Chad, you're different than other agents. You're actually not pushy, and you're just kind of a human being. Is basically what it said. And so let's break that down. I have a lot I can go into with this. Where do you want to start?
I would say, first thing first would be mindset, right? So just having the will to pick up the phone and make the calls. It takes a lot of courage. We have that inner voice, like we were just talking about, saying, oh, well, somebody else already called them. I don't want to call them, or they don't want to hear from me, or we just called them. I need to wait, or now's not a good time. They're probably busy. All that kind of stuff. Just getting out of your own head and scheduling time to make it a priority of your day. Every single day, you should be prospecting, calling people new for an hour, and an hour a day at minimum, following up with the people that you spoke to the previous days, and keeping track of all that. So I'd say one, it starts with the mindset. Number two, you should have a game plan for what you're going to talk about when you do go into the calls. A lot of times, people don't like to cold call because they don't know what they're going to say and they don't feel comfortable with it. And it's a whole awkward experience. And, you know, they just get discouraged right off the bat because they haven't done it long enough to get good at it.
Yeah. And I want to come back to the getting in your head about it because we had that come up a lot in the past week, even on our team. And this person doesn't want to hear from me or all this and that. Here, I'm sure we've all heard the quote, or I've heard it many times. In sales, they don't come, they don't come out of the rain not to buy type. I forget what the quote is. You know what I mean? Like they're not coming out of the rain because they were bored. I think that was in Glenn Ross. They said something like that. Um, and my dad used to always say it to me at the car lot, was like, "They didn't come on the car lot, they didn't come if they're coming during the rain, they're serious. They didn't walk through the rain into the car lot because they were bored." You know what I mean? But depending on your source, it's generally the same thing. They didn't come to the open house most of the time because they're bored. They didn't, enter their information in on a website. I have our team do this a lot, and anybody listening to the podcast, I'll get to do it to you right now. If you're listening, write down your name, do it. Write down your phone number. Do it sometime, whether you're doing it now or doing it after the podcast,
I,
and
I
then
always do this analogy with it. It's like take your fingers and put them in front of you. Now click out your name. Okay, now enter. Now click out your phone number. Enter. Now click out your email address. Right? That's not on accident.
yeah, it's not. And you know, listing your house for sale. It's all showing interest in doing something. So the problem is they don't want to talk to you because they don't trust you. They think that you just want something for yourself. You haven't built rapport and they haven't seen the human being on the other side of that phone call. But the number one thing is the principle from the seven habits of highly effective people. And the book is like right there. But it's seek first to understand, then be understood. You
Yeah.
need to stay in discovery, shut up about your solution until you understand where they're at. And Jason, because I would call you a lot back when I was recruiting the EXP a lot. Like, why don't these people see it? And I was feature dumping, and I struggled with this for a really, really long time. But that principle of you need you need to stay in discovery with people, stay in curiosity. Don't come on. We say curiosity and judgment in the sense of the lens of like, oh, what people think of me, they're judging me. Well, it's also, everything. Like when you're calling somebody, don't judge where they're at. Don't judge that your solution is right for them because it might not be. They're relative might absolutely disown them, and that might be an important relationship to them if you use them. And so, who are you to say that you're or they might, or on the other side of it, they might not want their family to know their personal details. So, who are you to say otherwise? And if you don't properly discover where they're at, I mean, this is a small example, but who are you to say your solution is right for them?
Yeah.
Um,
So I would say two things first, just to circle back, right? There was some kind of intent of why they filled out and registered on a website to, search for homes or have somebody contact them, right? It wasn't by accident. What we
yeah,
have at first is sales skepticism, right? And just to go further back a little bit, we should always go back and have a helpful heart, right? We're just there to help them. If you go in thinking that you're bothering people and you're not, there was intent that they needed some help. We're just here to help them, right? Um, but like I said, there was some kind of motivation in there of why they registered on these sites. We're just kind of trying to figure out, would they like some help?
right, 100%. And so here I wanted to break this down in segments real quick for anybody listening to get some heat real quick. So what I'm about to do is give you a major structure of a call, at least from what we experience on our team with a lot of online leads. When you call, um, you have to ask questions that are kind of open ended. Were you looking for fun or were you looking to make a move? Did you have any questions or did you want to go take a look at it? Are you just looking in Tampa or are you open to deals in other neighborhoods as well? You have to ask a couple of them that they kind of have to answer to start to break that barrier, and you'll play that little bit of tug of war in the first 30 to 60 seconds. After you make it a little through the tug of war and they're starting to answer some of these questions, and I'll come back to the whole story, but I want to go over time segments right now. Right now, I'm going through time segments and how you should structure it from a time perspective and where the breaking points start to be. Once you've made it through the tug of war and they start to actually answer questions, considering that you're staying deep in the location and then deeper. Why what neighborhoods do you like in there? Is that close to work for you? You go deeper in location. Price, what ballpark price point? What makes you, have that? If you did find a perfect home that you talked to me about in this area, would you stretch it an extra 50K? I just want to make sure that I find everything that matches. You go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then after about 2 to 3 minutes, you have permission. You cannot do it before. No one will answer this question in my experience if it's not before, not after 2 or 3 minutes. What's inspiring you to make the move? What's the motivation? What's causing you to look at homes online? What has you looking at your home value? What has you stopping in this open house today? You've got to get through the first 2 to 3 minutes of curiosity about the surface level stuff before you can start to get into the under the surface level stuff. And then you need to understand what that real meaning is. A lot of details can drop out during that why. Once you've gathered enough and built enough rapport, about 5 to 7 minutes in, you can start to recommend your solution, whether it's set you up on a home search, meet for coffee to discuss it, all those things. And we'll dive into some of that here now. But what I wanted to go through was timing, right? So, first minute, tug of war. After 2 to 3 minutes of valid curiosity questions about the details of the thing, you push to motivation, right? And after you've explored and unpacked motivation and connected with them for about 5 to 7 minutes, then maybe you can push to your solution in the next step. Um, that's my structure of a call.
I like it. I like it. I would say let's start right from the get go, right? So for one, I'm working on this with the team, and I want them to actually write all of this out, so then that way they could see everything. And what I'm going to tell you right now is going to be like a cheat code for you, because if you follow this script and you follow this dialogue from A to Z, it's going to make your call so much easier, and you'll be more comfortable with it. But number one, we start with our opener, right? What do you say as soon as somebody gets on the phone? With this, you have like 5 seconds or your call's pretty much done immediately. If you have any pauses or any hesitation, they're going to think you're spam. They're going to hang up. You should be firm and know exactly what you're going to say as soon as you pick up the phone. Hey, Chad, it's Jason in the Scranton Wilkes-Barre area. I'm the one that's been sending you leads or listings or whatever. Right. So, whatever you're going to say, have your opener dialed in and be firm and have a like an authoritarian, like pitch to your voice and upbeat, right? Smile
Yep.
when you dial, all that kind of good stuff. But you should have an opener. From that opener, what you want to have is like four good objection handlers from that. So from my question or from my opener that I just said, people are either going to say who, right? They're going to say I didn't get anything. They're going to say, I'm not interested. Whatever it is, or I was
I'm
just
just
looking.
browsing.
I was just browsing, right? So you should have four good objection handlers for each one of those questions.
And let me handle the browsing one because this is my favorite one because we get it a lot. We get it. I mean, you do it in the store. You go look for jeans in the store. Or you go to Dick's and look for sports stuff, and it's can I help you with anything? Oh, I'm just looking. It's the same script that they
Yeah.
have there, but I'm just browsing. Here's what you do with that. Is that because you already found what you're looking for, or you put it on the back burner? Oh, it's gold.
Yeah, yeah, that one is gold. I I love that one. Did you find, and like you said, after we have our objection handlers, right? Some of it is just smoke screens and sales skepticism that you just have to overcome, right? And just work your way through it. But if
Or
you
make
could
sure
get
you're
past
not
that first,
AI.
yeah, make sure you're not AI, right? I always say like make sure like in your opener have that you're local, right? You're not just some stranger from the internet. Let them know that that you're in the area, right? And you're just there to help. Like I said, from those objections, then three good questions to ask, right? Were you looking for an investment property, or just curious, were you looking for an investment property or a primary residence? Or another good question to
Big
ask:
one.
what had you looking in the first place? Have you gone out to see any properties, or are you just looking online? Right? Some kind of questions that kind of just build the dialogue with them.
And then there's an art in some of those questions too. I mean, you are just being curiosity, but see what happens when you stay in curiosity. I tell my team this all the time. Is the details you do really want, like do they have an agent, are they pre-approved, all that stuff that you want to ask, which by the way is the cardinal sin of like calls. Like I've noticed early on in my real estate career, I listened to another agent take a call, and their intro was, hi, I see you're looking at 123 Main Street. Are you pre-approved? I'm like, oh. I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, like, are you pre-qualified for a mortgage?" Like, oh my gosh, corporate speak, inauthentic, just
yeah,
like rude and just
yeah,
assumptive. The best thing is, like you listen to what Jason just said there, and he said, "Have you seen any homes in person yet?" Well, what is this going to potentially drop out? Do you have an agent? Because if you've seen them in person, there's a good chance, not a great chance, they might have just went and had Uber for showings or had one-offs or went to open houses. But if you seen them in person, you can ask. But but then the other thing that happens when you're staying in curiosity is all of a sudden because the guard's up. It's like, I don't want to answer this call, blah, blah, blah. And you ask a couple curiosity questions like, well, I'm looking because our friends moved over there and we would like to be closer by them, even though we were already set here. We miss being by our friends. And boom, you got motivation because
yeah,
they realized you were just kind of curious. You're like, what the hell are you doing? They're like, well,
yeah.
here's the thing.
Well, it does two things. Like you said, one, it finds out if they were working with any other agents, but it also shows how serious they are in intent. If they're actually, are they just kind of, window shopping, or are they, if they're actually out going to see a house, right? Believe what people do, not what they say. So if they are going out, they're a lot more serious and closer to that buyer stage. To circle back a little bit, we didn't talk about it. When people are searching online, there's probably in three different phases. One could be the dreaming phase, right? They know there's a problem. They know there's something going on, but they're just dreaming. Okay, like, I know this is coming up. I'll just kind of, see what's out there, right? And then they'll
Yeah.
go into like more of an exploratory phase, like when they're actually digging. Think about like, you know, with a car. Well, let me say the three phases. So you got dreaming, then exploratory, and then you get ready to your buying and selling phase, right? So the dreaming phase, like an analogy I use is you have a car and the freaking thing keeps breaking down. You know you have an issue, right? You're just kind of dealing with it. Maybe your finances aren't ready yet, but you're looking, or you know that there's a situation coming up, right? And then the thing keeps breaking down. Now you're in the exploratory. Okay, what kind of car do I want? What fits my budget? What do I, want as far as amenities, all that kind of stuff. Then you're doing all your research kind of online. It's the same situation with people looking for homes. And then they get into that actual buying and selling phase when they're actually going out to the dealership. So if you take this
Taking
back and you
action.
yeah, they're taking action to actually make buying and selling related activities. But if you do it for the home search, it's the same thing. You have to move for job relocation, so you know that's coming down the pike, but you're not ready yet because whatever situation that you have going on. But you want to kind of see what the markets are like. You want to kind of see what the home prices are like. You know, exploratory. Hey, I'm getting closer. I got to move within the next 60 to 90 days. Now I want to start actually getting better with my search. Now, if it's getting like, that 30, 60-day mark, like I'm going out to see houses. I'm traveling to go see where I want to live, school districts, all that kind of stuff, what's going to be close to work. The problem that we have as agents, we try to grab people in the buying and selling phase, and we forget to nurture them and to contact them through the dreaming and exploratory stages.
100%.
And then they're already at the buying and selling stage, and it's too late. We got to capture them way before we do, um, before they're ready to buy, and help them through that and guide them through that whole process.
Yeah. It's yeah, I mean, that's a big one right there, but real estate agents, in my experience, want the lead that just fell into their lap that's ready to buy a home today.
Yeah, I mean the days of shaking the money tree for the Zillow leads come in. There's 50 offers on a house, and they're gonna put an offer in. You see one house, and that's it, are over. The game has changed. People that are still expecting that are probably the people that are getting out of the business. The people that are willing to do the work and nurture those leads for 90, 120 days are the ones that are going to be successful in this market.
Yeah, it's the basics, and the basics work. But what you need to think about with that, and we talk about this a lot, is you need to be not everybody is especially you don't sorry, let me say it this way. You don't know where they are. You don't know which phase they are. You can ask things, you're starting to identify that, right? And of course, you'll find some low-hanging fruits, but the high-hanging fruits are where the money are. Like that's where the money is. For me, the first year in the business, I sold 23 houses, which is good. But the second year, I sold 60. It's because the high-hanging fruits I continued to nurture, and I was staying in front of them so that they weren't ready to take action. But when something changed and they were ready, I was right there. And here's another really, really good one, and why every interaction you have with somebody on the other side, everything from your opener to the follow-ups to everything you do matters, is think about this, and I said this in our team meeting this week. Let's say that buyer has a house to sell, right? And you don't even know that, right? Your consistency and follow-up, like even if they don't answer, what's that going to communicate to them in 6 months when they decide to do this and they need a listing agent? And think about, here's what happens for me, right? If I mark them hot or warm, I'm following up with them weekly or bi-weekly, every single week or every 2 weeks. There's a call or a text or something, and it's just manual. It's nothing like automated. It's actually me checking in, sometimes a video message. Now, think about when I'm sitting down in a listing appointment with them and they're comparing me to another agent, and I say, look, the leads we generate on your um, house, I'm going to work. Who are they going to believe? The one who's followed up with them every single week, right? Like you're
Yeah.
constantly being interviewed before you're working with people.
Oh, no, that is gold there. If you don't think that once you reach out that people are not Googling you, stalking you on the socials, seeing what you're all about, seeing what kind of person you are, that's why it kills me when I see people that are in sales positions of any kind and they're posting political stuff. It's like, I don't care what you are politically or whatever, but you're going to isolate 50% of the audience right off the bat of that possible clientele because they don't want to work with you because you're pro whatever. You know, keep some topics to yourself online, but people are, like you said, people are searching for you and they want to see if you are going to do what you say you're going to do and how you're going to act. So no, super important on that.
Yeah.
um
So I had somebody. Well, and here's well, I can go a lot of ways with this, but I had a listing appointment. I asked them what was important to them in a real estate agent they worked with, and they said integrity. Okay. So my follow up has to have integrity, right? Because they said that's important to them. I said it's important to me, but people believe what you do and not what you say. So if I don't have integrity in my follow up and do the things I say I'm
yeah,
going to do and set the thing up, so in his case, he wanted me to shut. I'm sorry, shut the search alerts off. He actually wasn't looking to move locally. He was looking to sell and move out of local. So the next day, I went and shut his off manually and texted him, let him know, hey, I shut your search alerts off. That communicated integrity by action, right?
Yeah.
So you're constantly being interviewed. It just comes back to that initial point of view. You know, people believe what you do and not what you say.
Yeah. I talk to the team about that all the time. If you tell somebody that you're going to do something, do it. Over deliver and under promise, right? It
And
goes a long way.
And if you don't, apologize. Like, don't
Yeah.
ignore it. I like, things slip. We're human. I mean, this is not an excuse to go ahead and do it, but like, if you do it perfect 95% of the time, you're gonna have 5% where you slip, life gets in the way or whatever. And if that happens, like, stay in the truth. Hey, I totally screwed up. I was supposed to call you yesterday. It got away from me. Is that going to communicate integrity, right? I mean, I know I'm harping on what the one person told me, but I mean,
Mhm.
it's a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
I would want
Yeah,
to,
like I
because
said, things come up and it happens. It just happened to me today. Like I was sick the last couple of days, so I'm just kind of getting back in action. And I had an inspection that I was going to go on, ended up missing it because I had some other stuff I had to take care of in the meantime. But just let them know, man. Hey, sorry about that. I wanted to try to attend it, couldn't make it today. Wasn't. It's kind of like drinking water through a fire hose today. First day back, so you know. Uh, I'll get with you on it.
yeah. So coming back to what to say,
Oh, okay.
um, I know I threw you off a little. Where did you
All
want to
right.
jump
So
back
let's
into where
let's
you were?
recap. Let's recap. So you got a good intro, right? Strong, authoritative, not pause and not delayed. We're going to have four objection handlers for what the possibilities they are going to say based on your intro. Then we're going to have those three good questions to ask, right? Kind of build you know, develop the dialogue. And then we're going to go into motivation related questions. We call it like LP Mama. We're going to talk about what had them curious in that location. We're going to talk about what they think of the price. Try to find out what is motivating them to get out there and see the house. This should be a big majority of your time spent on motivation. Why are they looking to move? If we are trying to help people, which we said we are, we should be spending 90% of the conversation in this motivation time frame. So then that way we could help them do what they're looking to do, and that's how easy it is.
Because you are a problem solver, not an order taker.
For sure. For sure. So three good, like motivation questions. What had you looking in this area? Will you be selling a property and using the proceeds, when would you like to be moved in by? Kind of try to find like timing questions. Um, you know, has anybody ever? And then after the motivation questions, then I like to say we want to have some kind of value proposition of why they should meet with us. Hey, Chad, I know you might not be ready now, but don't you think it'd be helpful if we sat down for 15 minutes? I could explain the whole buying process to you. I could tell you about all the guarantees that me and my team have that no other brokerage or agents have around here. I could help customize your home search and I could explain all that buyer agency stuff. To you so you're comfortable what you're signing before we go see any houses. Wouldn't that
I like
make
my
sense?
script better here.
Okay, go for it.
I mean, there's nothing wrong, but recently we got it. I think it was on the one call you had me jump on, and I pulled this line from there, and I've loved it ever since. But when we're ready to transition, we've gathered enough. Two things. One, I don't do this one all the time, but I really like this. So restate back to them. So, and seek first to understand, then be understood. You repeat back what you said, what was said to you. So if I found a 4.3 in this area at this price point, and it came up next week. Would you want to go take a look? That's a good way to see what level of intent they're at. Okay. Preferably, if you ask that and it's a yes, this is where I wanted to go, though. This is the next line. Here's where I want to go. Look, you're just get, sorry. Look, you're just guessing right now. And this is one of the biggest financial decisions most people make. And so I've always thought it made sense with my clients, whether you're 1, 2, even 5 years out, to sit down and create a game plan. So let's meet for coffee. Let's jump on a Zoom and let's really unpack this. I think I have a few properties that might make sense for you, or I think I have a few ideas from our blah, blah, blah plan that might make sense to sell your home. But let's sit down and set a game plan. How's tomorrow?
Yeah. I love it. So I've been working with my coach Matt on, kind of this bridging the gap to go from, calls to conversations, to go from appointment set to met, and I like his, and I think I'm going to uh, actually I am going to commit to implement it. But it's like I was wondering, what are the next steps you will need to take to buy a home, right? And if they're like, oh, I'm not sure, it's like, well, that's exactly why I think we should meet. To support you in
Smart.
finding your ideal home, here's what I recommend we do. Let's meet for 10 to 15 minutes, discuss our buyer advantage program and exactly what our team could do to assist you in making it simple. Would blank or blank time work best for you?
Perfect.
Yeah, I
Now,
love it.
let's for the agents listening, why would you want it's easier to not ask for that game plan or that appointment. It's easier to not. It's easier, "Oh, send you over some homes, let me know." First of all, if you do that, be
Good luck
specific.
waiting.
"I'm gonna send you over some homes. I'm gonna check back with you tomorrow at this time. How's 11 tomorrow?" And see what you think. First of all, set the next call. But you should go for the appointment because the percentage chance of you're gonna work with somebody you've met with face to face goes from, like, when you're just phone and texting, like, 3 to 5%, depends on a lot of things, where are the leads, what's your all this stuff, up to, like, 75% when you meet in person. Most
Yep.
people that meet somebody in person work with that agent. So you wanna we wanna say we love this work smarter, not harder bullshit. Well, if you think about it, that makes you work smarter, not harder, because if you're taking let's say you have, I mean, if it's a 5% conversion rate, you need how many people to get a sale, right? But if you just meet them, you take less calls because you're not following up with the people who aren't going to work with you because your conversion rate's so low and you're getting 75 percenters. So the reason to have the appointment is because you're increasing your odds and likelihood of working together up to potentially like 75%.
Yeah, if you're just smoking the hopium, if you think, okay, well, I'll keep sending you those listings. You see anything you like, just give me a call, right? Um, yeah, good luck with that. So no, I totally agree. You got to get face to face ASAP, and you have to do it within a 24 to 48 hour from the conversation, or they're going to forget you. So a couple last things that I want to kind of touch on real quick, because I think they're super important. Is one is, some agents are kind of nervous on broaching the finance question, right? So after you set that firm appointment, which should be within 24 hours, same day, 24 hours, next day, whatever, at the most. If you don't do that, set the next follow up call appointment. If they can't meet face to face, hey, how about if I call you on Wednesday and we could see when a better time is, and when things kind of calm down, or whatever it is, you should always be setting that next appointment. Um, but before you go, hey Chad, I almost forgot, any seller in today's market is going to want to know if you're going to pay cash or if you're going to need some help with financing if you do want to purchase a house. Or did you need any help with that? And then that's kind of a way to broach kind of that financing question. That's not as intrusive and like, hey, you got any money?
Yeah, or as a lot of agents I've seen is like, "Do you have your pre-qualification letter?" Like, it's like really rude the way it's said because sometimes they feel it's a question of their ability, But and I think what you said was fantastic, and my way has always been, have you talked with any lenders yet? It's a statement of fact, did you or did you not,
Yeah.
and if they have any pushback, I always go to, well, hey, I just want to make sure that I'm sending you homes that make sense for the loan program that you're on. For example, government loans need certain things like, can't have missing handrails on steps or peeling paint or fire safety doors. And you educate and inform, why that's a big deal. And that's kind of my line on thought. But here's the thing. For anybody and it's surprising how many agents don't know what LP Mama is. LP Mama is an acronym basically to remind you of the types of things you need to ask for on the call. Location, what areas are they looking in? Price, what price point? Motivation, what's inspiring them to make the move? Um, Agent, do they already have an agent? Um, Mortgage, have they talked with any lenders yet? And then set the appointment. It's a reminder. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times you just go LPM, um, and the call you just have a next call and you can finish the other A, M, and A, I think from my mind's working right on that,
Mm,
on the next call or in person even. Sometimes you can do that if you set the appointment. You can mix and match it. It's just an acronym to remind you. And it brings me to the point. LP Mama is great. If you didn't know it, you should have it in your head, and it's something that should be circling. And there's a reminder of what to say. But the main point I wanted to make through all of this, the whole reason I wanted to, one of the main points I want to make when you said you want to talk about what to say on a call is don't be a freaking robot. Don't just go down the script. The best script, as John always says, is base your next question on their response.
yep.
Listen to what they're saying and then ask another question like a 3-year-old that's like, "Well, why does this work like that? But why? But why? But why?" That's what you're doing with their
Yeah.
inquiry.
Yep.
Why that? Why would you want to go there? Oh, okay, you work over there. Oh, why? Well, that's cool. Did you talk to the lender yet? Oh, why didn't you talk yet? Like, not really that way, but the concept of it, you know,
Yeah.
it that's how you stay human.
Yeah. If you want the conversation to end very quickly, phrase your question so that you'll get a yes or no answer. You should always be phrasing your question. Everything that you say should end in a question. So then that way they respond to the question. It's not a yes or no, right? And then think of it as like a hot potato going back and forth with it. But like you said, come from curiosity. One of the things like we talked about in the beginning is if you did your homework, right, when they filled out the registration form, you should see what house they were looking at, what area, the price range, what style, right? So you could use this information to gauge the conversation with LP Mama. What had you looking in the Wilkes-Barre area to begin with? Do you work close to there? Or do your kids go to school close to there or anything like that, right? Use what they found. What'd you think of the price range? I say, we're looking at 123 Main Street. What'd you think of the price? Whoa, I can't believe it. Yeah, prices have gone up a lot. You kind of just build that natural rapport with them.
And have a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go math nerd real quick because I don't know if anybody's listening is very logical or math oriented or a nerd like me. This will be fun. Or if you didn't know this, I think this is a huge discovery. So last year the home sales sucked in the U.S. It was like what 4 million,
Yeah. Pretty bad.
down from a roughly five, right, or more.
Mm,
But so down 20%. But if they were the worst they've been since like '95, I think, or something like that. It was a really low amount of home sales, or close to '08. So 4 million home sales. Do you know how many people were in the U.S.?
how
I'm
many,
asking.
like the population of the US? Was it
Mhm.
like 360 million or something?
Last I thought it was in the
400 million?
330s.
Something like that.
Well, now we gotta know.
I know.
So
Ask
now
your
we gotta
chat
know, so I don't look.
GPT.
Let's do this. Yeah. How many people in the U.S.? Let's see. 340 million, according to my phone right now.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
if
That
I'm
was
wrong,
on.
yeah, I thought it was 330. So I was a little light. So here's the thing. I'm gonna take out a calculator. So I do this with my team sometimes. So any agent listening, I think this is important. If there was 4 million home sales,
Uh-huh.
and we divide that by the amount of people, which is 340 million in the United States. Because I hear a lot, these leads suck. Oh, these people aren't actually, these are a waste of time. Well, doing just simple math of 4 million divided by 340 million, that means 1.17 percentage of people bought a home. So if you have 100 leads, one bought one in the last 12 months, bought or sold a home. That is cold. That's nothing other than just straight up human beings. Now factor in they came to an open house. They signed up on a website. They um they indicated or they for sale by owner, right? That's a little easier, but you get the point. That's when you look at that, and we did this with our database. We took our cold database and we have Fellow, and we tracked how many people sold their home in the last 12 months because it does that for us. And we actually found our database, just sellers, was 2.7% of our 27,000 that had addresses. That's just that had addresses, and that's not buyers. So what I'm trying to tell anybody listening to this podcast, if you're a real estate agent, 1%'s just the stand. Like that's of people that will take action in the next 12 months. That's on a crappy year. That was real, right? If you start to look at people who have opted in and indicated action, I mean, it's very likely your database will convert at 5%. Now, that doesn't mean you'll grab every single one because some people have a relative or a reason or an agent that's followed up with them for 15 years and you just can't trump that amount of value, maybe, right? But you can convert it. And I think to me, I'm a math guy. Probably won't make a lot of people might have tuned out for that little segment, but for those of you who are like me, it's like the math is there.
Yeah.
You just have to go have an authentic and real conversation with enough people to find the percentage that we talked about, and the ones who aren't, you nurture until they are.
Yeah, and like we talk about all the time, real estate is a math game. Everything else is just drama. It's going to take a lot of will on the just to pick up the phone and make the calls, and then you got to build your skill. And okay, hey, I got this objection. How do I handle it better next time? Build up those muscles after doing rep after rep and call after call and call, and then your conversion rates are going to go up like you talked about. And then instead of 1 out of 100, you're going to increase for 5 out of 100 or 7 out of 100, and then you'll be one of the top agents. Are you doing like 5 to 7%? So it's like, you know, but it's all by getting practice and getting in there every single day. Um, my final thoughts on this are one, two, like we talked about, setting hard appointments with that, right? Two, don't be discouraged. You're going to get a lot more no's before you get a yes, right? We're just looking for the people that need help, right? And they're out there. They registered. We just have to overcome that sales skepticism and try to find out what their motivation is so we can help them. Um, Last thing would be another good question that people get too nervous to kind of ask, and it's like, do you need to sell your house in order to buy this house? That kind of thing. After you built up the relationship enough, are you currently renting? That's like a less invasive way to say it. Or do you own your current house, right? To kind of find, do they need to sell, right? Because there's options that you could provide value and help them, saying, hey, look at, we could buy a house contingent upon the sale of your house. And then that way we can line both of them up. A lot of people don't know that. And if we don't sell your house, then you're not obligated to buy the other house as long as you stay within your deadlines.
100%. That's great stuff. And here's the thing, it's like, um, you come back to what you said about the will, right? And then you build the skill. But um, I think I think it was Alec Cheplak who we had on the show here. He had recently just, and I think he had mentioned his dad John had mentioned it. But there's psychology, methodology, and technology in the business. And the factor of it is a lot of us as real estate agents, almost every brokerage or team you're on, they have the technology, you have the ability, you have the capability, you have the methodology, you know what you need to do and how to do it. And if you don't, this show right here is enough to get there. You go. There's the methodology, there's what you say, there's the time frames of the conversation, there's the math and all the good stuff. The psychology is the biggest problem. So even though there's this content's great, there's tons of content out there. Look at YouTube. You've got to get the 6 inches between your ears right to make this a successful business for you, and that's where the game is.
Yeah, and I'll end it with your math equation too. It's a contact sport, right? How many times do we see agents, they call it once and it's like, oh, this lead sucks. The average contact attempt for a lead to come in is like 27 contact attempts. So if you call them once, you have a 1 in 27 chance of being successful. How do we increase that? Call, text, and email them at least once a day for the first 5 days. That's at least 15 out of a 25 or 27%. Increase your odds of actually converting it, but don't just quit after the first attempt. Your first day, call twice, right in a row. First time, they might not recognize your number and not answer. The second time, they'll be like, oh, maybe this is somebody that I know, more willing to pick up the phone, right? If they don't, send a video text. Hey, it's Jason. I saw that you were looking for properties online. Give me a call. Put a face to the name. It's not some stranger from the internet. Another little tidbit with that is, with Apple, it'll have like your name over there too, like when you send it, so it makes it look like more of a familiar contact too. And then email. Something of value with email for, hey, what's the best way that you would prefer me to communicate with you? I saw you were looking for houses in this area. Would you prefer I call, text, or email you? Right. And then listen to what they say and do, if they tell you they want emails, email. If they tell you they want you to text them, right? Don't start the conversation with conflict or relationship with conflict, right? But you got to increase your chances for conversion. How many times do we quit or just call once and then forget about it?
And this, I mean, really, it's funny because like this one, you know, this episode, like this is the one the real estate agents need to listen to because this is the stuff that you know, nobody wants to hear about real estate, but this is a sales job. This is the job for you to help those people you want to, the buyers and sellers, you want to help the first time home buyers, or you want to help people realize the most out of their home, or you want to change lives, you want to do that big old mission you've got. Well, it comes on the other side of this. This is how you get to there. So when you frame the ugly work as a way to get to the things that the pretty work, right? This is what it takes. And like, so many agents I've spoken with, and myself included at times, this would solve, 90% of their problems just doing the work.
Yeah. How many times people will trade working 40 hours a week for somebody else's dream instead of working an hour a day for their own dreams? Just commit to prospecting, rip that band-aid off, do it every single day until you start building up your pipeline, and you will be successful in this business. But so many people just quit too early.
Yep. Because I don't know about you, Jason, but I've never had a sale that hasn't it really existed without a phone conversation that leads
Yeah.
to further
Yeah,
things.
it's my secret weapon. I am not shy. I'm picking up the phone and making the call. I'm like, call him right now. Right? So
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We hope to bring some value to the real estate world with Shark Nation. So we will see you all next week. Be bringing it.
peace.